Oh, hello there. Yes, it's Saturday. Should be an okay day again today. Anyway, I thought today we'd talk about the dust settling somewhat from the CAS report, except of course it hasn't settled. It's just decided to, well, go a lot further and spread more, because the whole point of the gender criticals out there is not to reach a reasonable level and compromise, but it is, of course, a complete eradication. That's the object. So the next stage in that campaign will be to get laws into schools telling me what I can do. And yesterday we had a great sign of this because Julie Blindell was writing in the Daily Telegraph, and criminologist in her ivory tower she is, always gets a free ride in the Daily Telegraph. Sack those who conspired against children, she says. We will only close this dark chapter in our history if we punish trans extremists for the harm they've caused. And it's worthwhile just sort of quoting exactly what she says here. Teachers who have allowed or even encouraged children to socially transition should lose their jobs, especially when they fail to inform parents that their child is presenting with the opposite sex. These young people will be irreversibly harmed by trusted adults feeding them the fiction they can change sex. Yes, you see, and there you have it. There is no such thing as transgender, full stop. By working with young people with trans, need to be sacked because I haven't slapped them around the face and told them to stop. I need to be especially sacked in certain circumstances when I feel that the safeguarding, something I'm very much trained in, of the child is paramount. That's as close to a working definition of something that's totally facetious and unworkable as I can think of. But never mind, it's fine for an academic to say that. We'll come on to notions of expertise in a short while. Sex Matters yesterday as well decided to wade in with their size 4 DMs into this. Of course they do. Another group of people that very much are self-appointed. There is in their summary of what they want now, and a further list of demands, no doubt, such is the nature, I suppose. There is mention of online and peer influences as drivers of transgender identities or gender confusion, but no mention of schools as a driver, i.e. that schools are teaching the contested idea of gender identity. Right, okay then, yes, schools are not teaching that. Okay, once again, as I always say on here with these people, they mess up the concept of teaching something, right? Okay, if I mention something in a school setting, I'm not teaching it. That isn't what teaching is. Don't expect Maya to understand that because, drumroll, she's not an expert. Again, come back to that one in a short while. More generally, there's a blind spot about the role of schools both as causes and recipients of social transition, and at times a worrying conflagration of gender nonconformity, and having a special gender identity. On the idea of partial social transition, which Dr. Cass briefly raises, there's no mention of the impact of other people, particularly of other children in the school. Okay, fine. So what presumably the argument here is that you need a level of conformity within schools, which is going to be acceptable to Maya and Helen and the rest. So in other words, they need to be the deciders of who exactly we can have within schools. Would various other people that identify on a psychological level as other things be seen as being a threat? I am thinking of, for example, those people that are Jehovah's Witnesses, who often are quite disruptive in schools. Ask an RE teacher. Should they therefore have themselves being slapped around the face and being told that there's no such thing as their God? Because surely they are impacting others. And their answer, of course, will be, no, we're not really caring about that. That isn't what we're after. No, of course it isn't. And for me, yesterday, this reached its high point whereby Kevin Lister cropped up on drumroll Julia Hartley-Brewer. Yeah, of course he did, because now, of course, he is definitely the wronged individual, despite the fact that I'm willing to bet that if we ran that tribunal all over again, he would still need to be fired. He was fired because he was totally obnoxious to his students, and rightly speaking, he's not a teacher anymore. And yet, here he Here he is, yet another victim. They're all victims, aren't they? Yes, they are all victims. And of course, the real victims here are the young people involved. Latest, just sort of overnight, there's a decent bit of research. Yes, I've looked at the research from the TES. Link down below to it is quite a good piece. Trans students' attainment limited by discrimination. Bullying and discrimination are leaving trans students unable to concentrate in class and causing some to drop out of school altogether, research warns. Yes, which is the real nature of this stuff. Now, I, as a teacher, am concerned about the young people that I'm work with. That's what I have to do. I have to work with whatever's presented to me. I cannot work realistically within a framework whereby I have to make valid opinions, otherwise I'll be fired, don't forget, about what is presented to me. That is totally unworkable because I am not an expert. I am a teacher. Right? Okay, so inevitably, and this is something that effectively that Cass didn't really quite get, this school to medication pipeline is the fact that I have to pass these things on because I am not qualified, like Julia Hartley-Brewer, like Kevin Lister, like Julie Blindell, like other people, like, for example, if you like, J.K. Rowling, who's magically become this, instead of just a children's writer about people with magic sticks, has been elevated to the sort of high priestess of somebody that just automatically knows everything that there is to know, because she's very rich, and we all know that people are very rich inevitably always are right about things. I mean, just ask Charles Moore in today's Telegraph. The Cass review shows it's a disaster for a professional to confuse opinion with expertise. We don't, mate. You're the one that does that. Yeah? I do not want to do anything in my job other than what I feel is best for the young people around me, and I have to make decisions about that on a minute-by-minute basis whenever I'm at work, something that none of these people do. Realistically, none of them do this. It isn't part of their job. Mainly Julia Blindell, because she works in HE with older people. But I would love to see her working within those kind of restraints that she demands of me. Demands of me from people that aren't experts. Yeah. Anyway, this will be very much ongoing. Do have a look at the TES piece. That's quite good. Don't look at the rest of the stuff. It isn't any good. We will see. This is just going to run and run and run. If people want to fire me from my job because I'm not doing exactly what they want, you will lose 95% of the teachers in this country, and it might not work out so well. But I guess that doesn't matter. So long as you can eradicate a whole group of people that you don't like, that's the important thing. After all, they don't exist, so that's fine. Can't wipe out what doesn't exist, I presume. Anyway, do have a lovely Saturday if you can do. I've got shed loads to do because I'm actually back at work next week. Still, I get to have a few snoozes till work time. Yeah.